Mark Ferrante. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Rob. How are you today?
I'm well. I hope you are too. Quite a performance from your guys on Saturday. Built a 49-0 lead at the half with contributions from all phases. Just talk about that victory and what pleased you the most.
Yeah, it was something we challenged our guys with. If you look at the previous weeks, we were down at halftime in some of the games and so on. So we challenged our guys to try to get off to a faster start, and we were able to do that. We had an opening drive. We actually had to settle for a field goal on the opening drive, but a roughing the kicker call allowed us to get the first down. We did make the field goal. I always get a little nervous of taking points off the board, but we were able to, punch that in after we got the ball closer to the goal line. So, and then after that, our defense played really well. A lot of 3-and-outs in that first half, and our punting team did a great job. Our punt return team did a great job. Braden Reed, our freshman punt returner, gave us really good field position on a couple, 20-plus yard returns. So, and our offense did a great job taking advantage of the field position that we got from our defense and our special teams, getting the ball at midfield and so on, and taking advantage and finishing those shorter drives with touchdowns. So I don't remember when the last time, if ever, a game like that happened. We scored on our first 6 possessions. Defense had a score. We held them to 3-and-outs, and the one drive they had going in cross midfield, Obina Wobodo, our defensive tackle, kind of stole the ball out of their quarterback's hands and ran it 50-plus yards for a touchdown, or 49 yards for a touchdown. So, yeah, it just seemed to be clicking on all phases in that first half of the game for sure. We definitely got off to a faster start.
Let's start with the quarterback, Pat McQuaid. 5 touchdowns passes there in the first half, but maybe more impressively, 5 touchdown passes to 5 different guys. And I know we've talked about there were some new faces in that receiving group. Just talk about, one, Pat spreading the ball around, but just the depth you're building at the receiver position.
Yeah, the guys are coming together pretty well. And, the more Pat's been playing with the guys, the timing's getting better. Pat's, as I mentioned, maybe on this call before, but definitely in a post-game interview or something, he's like having an extra coach out there. He knows how to distribute the ball. He gets the ball out quick. He does a good job with, seeing what's out there pre-snap and then obviously post-snap, trying to get it to the right people. And, yeah, that's another thing that I don't ever recall. If you score however many touchdowns, 8 touchdowns or whatever it was throughout the course of the game, you would assume somebody would have 2, a running back or somebody like that would have more. But we had 8 different guys find the end zone, which I think is great, because now who are you going to focus on? Our running backs, didn't get in the end zone. It was our wide receivers and our tight ends. We had 2 tight ends catch a touchdown pass from Pat. Pat had a rushing touchdown, which, I believe that's only his second of the year. And when you have Ragland and Avett and Mace, and they're not on the scoring side of things, that doesn't sound like the normal game for us. You would assume that we'd have some more rushing touchdowns with those guys. And then obviously a defensive score from a defensive lineman, a defensive lineman's dream. Whenever you have an opportunity, those are things that those guys dream about, tipping a pass and maybe intercepting it and running it for a touchdown, or scoop and score, in this case, just taking it out of the guy's hands before he hit the ground. So, yeah, that was pretty impressive. And, Kopecky and Braden Reed and obviously Luke Colella, the transfer from Princeton, found the end zone again. So it was great to see. And Pat does a good job. He makes good decisions. He has very few turnovers, knock on wood. Hopefully that will continue. He protects the football, and he does a good job reading and taking what's there.
Question for you from Mark Singles. Go ahead, Mark.
Mark, you mentioned McQuaid and Colella. I mean, you're really hitting the portal with both of them. I mean, I know they were both all-conference guys where they were, but did you anticipate both of them coming in and making this kind of impact, or they even surprised you a little bit how they fit in here?
Well, I don't know if you can ever, you hope, right? You anticipate. You can never assume that's just going to automatically take place and happen, because they still got to come in and learn the system. They got to get the timing down. But, I've said it before, since this new world that we're living in with the transfer portal and those type of things, the guys that we brought into the program for the most part have done a good job fitting in our locker room, and the guys that were on the current roster in the locker room have done a great job opening their arms to the new guys. And it's gone well. So would I anticipate these two guys would have the impact they're having? Would you, if you asked me in preseason, hey, Luke Colella is going to be your top receiver? I would have said, okay, we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm thankful that it has, and those guys seem to have a good relationship, good timing, and like I said, Pat distributes it to a lot of guys, but it's good to have both of them on our side.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Mark, I would say the offense was dynamic, but your defense, that's a Hampton offense, especially in the running game, that had some success. I think you held them to like 31 yards in the first half before you had some other guys in. What were you able to do so effectively?
Yeah, our guys just been playing hard, Rob. We've been talking all the time. We're tackling better. I think you and I have had this conversation on this call before because our roster is, 93-ish guys. It just affects how you practice sometimes in preseason and how you prepare even in the spring. We have not done a lot of live 11 on 11 tackling even in the off season. So it shows up early in the fall where, you're just not hitting all the technical things maybe as well as you can or as well as you should be. And I've seen dramatic improvement. Our secondary, our young secondary that we talked about earlier in the season, they're starting to play better. They're starting to get used to playing with each other because, you got five guys in the secondary. You got to kind of feed off each other and know what the other guy's going to do and so on. And the communication is getting better. The effort was always there. I said that even in that Penn State game and the Monmouth game where we gave up 50 points 2 weeks in a row. The effort has been there. The want to has been there. We just weren't playing fully together and we weren't, executing to the best of our ability. And each week, it seems like we're getting a little better in all phases. We're not we're hitting the right gaps. We're running to the football. We're gang tackling better. The open field tackling, when you have a one-on-one opportunity, is getting better. The playing the ball in the air down the field by our secondary has gotten better. The pressure on the quarterback has improved. So, just the more they're playing together, I think we're just getting a little better, to be honest. So hopefully that'll continue as well.
Let's look ahead to Saturday, U Albany coming into town. Just talk about some of the challenges they present for you.
Yeah, whenever we play Albany, whether it's down here or whether we go up there, it's always a dogfight. It's always a battle. I remember an overtime loss we had against them, and there's always been close games. And we say it all the time, Rob. Ever since we've been in this league in the CA, records don't matter. You better be ready to strap it up and play. Every week. You better be looking to go 1-0 each and every week. And this week's no different. We got to just get our guys focused on, what we're trying to do. As I just mentioned, can we improve again? Can we get a little better from the previous week to this next week in all phases of the game? We want to win all three phases if we can. We want to do a good job protecting the football like we have been doing. We want to try to create some turnovers. I think we won the turnover battle this past game 2-0. So that's a good thing. And, we got to eliminate some of the false starts, the mental penalties, the offsides on defense and the false starts on offense. But, we clean that up. I think we'll be okay. But, we just got to be ready for another CA opponent coming into our home stadium here. We are excited about playing at home, and it's homecoming. So hopefully we'll have a nice crowd. But, you got to be ready to play no matter who you're playing. And we tell our guys that all the time. And this week will be no different.
All right, Mark, thanks so much for the time this morning, and we'll talk again next month.